Oh, mate, I've had a really rough time. Look, it might be too much information for you here, Chip, but I honestly was stuck on the toilet for absolutely ages. My stomach was moving nuts.
That's no worries. Shit happens.
Too right.
Anyway, what I do have for you today, my rookie, Robert.
Rookie, don't disrespect me like that, Chip. You know we've been doing this for 25 years in this business. There's no rookie about this. We're senior execs.
You'll always be my rookie. Robert Allen Durst.
Breaking news tonight in the murder trial of multi-millionaire real estate heir Robert Durst.
Robert Durst is behind bars in New Orleans, accused of murdering a woman in Los Angeles more than 14 years ago.
No head, no arms, no legs, just the torso.
She said to me, Gilberto, promise me if something happens, you'll check it out and free Bobby. And I just said, Kathy, of course.
Robert Durst was confessing to 3 murders, and could the list be even longer? As yet another cold case began heating up just 2 days ago.
Born on April 12, 1943, a convicted murderer and possible serial killer, and he was the son of Seymour Durst, who is a New York real estate magnate.
Right.
Yeah, which means he had a lot of money.
He had peas in the bank.
We had bread here. We're talking cash flows.
Cash money.
Yep. And before we start on today's case, we must remind you that The Fellas Mysteries is now available on all audio platforms. So Spotify, Apple, you want to hit it up, the link will be in the description. Follow us on there. We greatly appreciate it.
Now, Robert is actually very well known for 3 particular things, right? His wife going missing in 1982. Her name, Kathleen. Kathleen, have you ever met someone our age called Kathleen?
No, that's an older generation name.
That is. Not only that, but his longtime friend being murdered in 2000. His longtime friend's name is Susan Berman. Third and finally, the killing of his neighbor in 2001, Morris Black.
Yep, Morris Black.
As always, guys, with serial killers, we gotta take it way back to the childhood. You guys already know messed up stuff or something happened in their childhood. Have we had a serial killer case yet where something hasn't gone a little bit weird in their childhood? I don't think so.
No, not a chance.
I don't think so. Now, Robert's mother actually died on, she fell off a roof, would you believe it or not? So it's not anything particularly, gruesome.
What was she doing on a roof?
I don't know. Nobody knows what she was doing on the roof. Maybe she was fixing something. But Robert actually said that his dad at the time took him over to the roof to actually watch his mother fall off it. But his brother, right, Robert's brother said, my dad never did that. That's not what happened at all. That's completely fabricated. So yeah, a bit of a weird one from Robert, the serial killer there. But yeah, anyways, regardless of that side of the story, his mum did die at an early age, which obviously to any child is causing some form of trauma. It's not a nice experience.
No.
Speaking of the brother, Douglas, him and Robert, brothers, both ended up having to go to sibling rivalry counseling. I'll be perfectly honest with you, I didn't even know that was a thing. But
You just got to scrap it out with your siblings.
Yeah.
A couple left hooks, couple right hooks. Because when you're young, the power's not there. You're not going to break.
Yeah, it's never going to be that deep when you're a sibling. Yeah. But obviously, the rivalry was clearly strong enough to the point where they ended up getting counseling. Not only that, let's remember that both of them came from a wealthy family, so getting something like counseling was obviously an option to the parents. They probably thought, you know what, this is pissing me off more than anything. Let's have a counselor deal with them rather than just let them scrap it out. I mean, the amount of WWE moves I practice on my sister, I think if my parents had the money, they might have sent me to counseling.
I was having a WWE moves practiced on me.
Really?
Yeah.
By who?
On my brother.
Really? Did you never retaliate? You never hit him with a little RKO or nothing?
Too strong for me.
Really?
Donnie was built different.
I'm sorry to hear that. But it shaped you into the man you are today, Chip.
Yes.
The counselor, through these sessions, actually stated that Robert had personality decomposition and possibly even schizophrenia. his classmates also said that he was a bit of a loner. Now that's quite a statement to say, is that he possibly even has schizophrenia at the age of 10. This was when Robert was only 10 years old. To come out with a statement like that is pretty nuts. But nothing was really done about it.
Now, Robert, he was a smart fellow. He got a degree in economics, went on to enroll in a doctoral program at UCLA, but actually withdrew and went back to New York in 1969.
So relatively smart man, you know, you can't take that away from him. And especially if he ended up wanting to become a doctor. You know, he got into the program, but ended up sacking it off anyways.
Yep.
But when he went back to New York, obviously his family, Durst, the Durst family was very heavy in real estate, and they sort of expected Robert Durst, to go back to New York and just get involved in the business, get the family business, which was real estate. He went back in, and they just decided, look, Robert, I'm not sure this is the job for you. They decided, the shareholders thought, you know what? This ain't it. And unfortunately decided you're not gonna work for this family anymore. With Robert being taken out of the picture frame of Durst, the Durst company, it actually caused quite a lot of friction between the family and Robert himself. Robert thought, hey, I'm entitled to this, right? I'm entitled to the fortune, but good news, well, I guess good news, they ended up settling, and Robert was actually bought out of the family trust for $65 million US dollars in 2006.
Right, so he got that 65 mil.
He got the bag in the end.
He ain't playing. Inflation as well. It's a little bit more today.
Yeah, well,
I've done the numbers.
No, you haven't. You have not done the numbers, Chip. Let's not cap on this show. This show is straight facts.
I've done the numbers.
And what numbers did you get, Chip?
More than 65 million.
Right, okay, thanks for that.
Let's talk about how he actually met his wife, Kathleen McCormack Durst. Okay, so they met in 1971. She was a dental hygienist. After 2 dates, he has invited her to share his home in Vermont. So essentially move in. 2 days, by the way. We move in quick, fast out here. However, Robert's father convinced Robert to move back to New York to work in the Durst organization. Obviously, they then moved to Manhattan and they get married in April 1973. She was a student in her final year college, Albert Einstein College. That sounds pretty
fancy,
impressive.
bro.
Yeah, it's a college of medicine. And she was only a couple of months away from being a pediatrician, obviously a qualified pediatrician. But then, disappeared. Straight after facing Matt. She was last seen on the evening of January 31st, 1982. She appeared at a dinner party thrown by a friend. She was wearing red sweatpants, which was seen as a bit out of the ordinary for her. Maybe she dresses nice occasionally most of the time.
I mean, you would think at a dinner party you wouldn't really be wearing sweatpants. So the
Don't put it past me, man.
The Spidey senses were tingling.
Yeah.
The friends sensed something was off.
She was described as upset anyway, so obviously things are off. And then she actually received a phone call from her husband, Robert, and went back to their house in New York.
For the first time in Fellas Mysteries history. That actually
Mysteries, histories. Damn, is that Eminem? No, it's not. It's Carl Freezy, just another white bloke.
Thank you very much, Chip. Anyways, guys, today's video is sponsored by Curve. Now, you guys might have seen on our podcast, we've been bigging Curve up. We both have a Curve card ourselves.
100%.
And they have been absolutely amazing to us. And I'll be honest with you guys, this Mysteries is so expensive to run. We've been running it out of our back pocket, so we can't thank Curve enough for coming through and helping us out. Chip, tell them that story about the time you went on the date and you got away with that thing.
Let me throw you back. Yeah. Single days. I walk into the club, restaurant, bang, I sit down, I'm enjoying myself. I go to pay for the meal, it's costing me a bit, I won't cap. I go to pay, I use my Curve card, boom, it declines. Now, it doesn't decline in that moment, but it did use my secondary backup card instead. So that's called anti-embarrassment mode. So what happened is, it paid as usual. Yeah. I checked my Curve app afterwards and I saw that it used that feature, which means my first card
automatic
declined. It's automatic. The girl never knew. I'm chilling.
You were vibing, and the date went smooth.
Yeah, you could say.
Well, let's not get into that. Not only that, guys, but they're actually giving 1% cash back for 30 days. So literally for your purchases throughout the 30 days, you will get 1% cash back, which is fantastic.
Amazing.
Not only that, but my favorite thing about the promotion they're doing is they're giving away a free $5 to anybody that signs up using our link. If you're watching on YouTube, the link's down below. If you're just listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever it is, on audio platforms, it's curve.com/Curve. spooky.
That is absolutely majestic.
That is phenomenal.
That's the best referral code I've ever heard.
Ever. And what you have to do is you get your card, you verify your card, and then you have to make a purchase, your first purchase, which could be even just 1p, and you'll get your free $5. Guys, we at The Fellas don't know how to explain. We're giving you a free $5 for watching The Fellas.
And you'll be getting amazing benefits because the curve card is really good. Myself and Cal both have a curve card way before we got this little curve deal right here.
So get on it, enjoy it. Don't say we don't help you guys out. That's curve.com/spooky.
Spooky.
Robert Durst, he was in a bit of a pickle here because unfortunately for him, he was actually caught sort of giving two different stories or different variations of the stories to the police.
Not
he
ideal.
claimed that he just did that because he wanted them to go away. So he was saying what he thought the police wanted to hear, to just get rid of them.
Yep.
Don't give me any more hassle. And so there were just a lot of different stories on how he thought the night went and how he said the night went. Does that make sense? So the timelines didn't really match up and things were looking a little bit sus. Kathleen made plans to meet her friend Najami, who was also at that dinner party at some point later in that week. Now, she failed to show up, and at that point, Najami actually called the police and said, yo, my friend Kathleen, she's not here. She's been missing for a few days. And at that point also, Robert Durst ended up filing a missing persons report as well. But he did leave it quite a while, but maybe, how long would you leave it, Chip, till you file a missing, let's say you texted me, how long are you giving it for me to reply?
A week.
One whole week, really?
Yep.
And even if you message other people and they're like, have you seen Cal? Have you seen Cal? And everyone's like, no, you're giving me an entire week, Chip.
I might shave a couple days off if nobody else can get hold of you.
So you give me 5 days. Chip, if nobody has seen or heard from you in 3 days, I'm doing 3 days for you, bro.
I like to go off the radar, you know what I'm like.
You actually did once.
Yeah.
But that's maybe a story for the podcast.
I just do that, you know.
The doorman at the building in which she shared the apartment with Robert actually claims that he saw her, or at least he saw the back of her, out on February the 1st, which was the day after everyone else had officially last seen her. But it's important to note that the doorman did actually say himself that he can't be 100% sure that was her because he did only see the back of her. 3 weeks after she was reported missing, guess what, Chip?
What?
We got some big news. The superintendent found her possessions, Kathleen's possessions, in the building's trash compactor. Now that's got to be raising some red flags. Why are her possessions being chucked away? It's only been 3 weeks. Surely Robert doesn't think that she's dead and getting rid of everything.
That's a rookie error. You got to burn that stuff.
Burn it. I mean, how about you just don't throw it away?
You burn it or bury it.
It makes it seem like maybe Robert Durst was angry at her for something, chucked all her stuff away, and then killed her.
Yeah, and Kathleen had actually been to the Bronx Hospital 3 weeks before her disappearance. She had facial bruises, and she had admitted to a friend that Durst had beat her, which is
But she didn't press charges.
She did not press charges. She'd asked Durst for a $250,000 divorce settlement. She was trying to get a little bit of that bread. Instead, Durst cancelled his wife's credit card, removed her name from the joint bank account, and refused to pay her medical school bills. Damn. So
this is getting sour.
He cut the line.
Yeah, he did.
The money line is gone.
The
money tree is no more.
Yeah, $250,000 is a lot of money, but we have to remember that Robert Durst's family was very wealthy, so I'm not quite sure.
Is that a lot in the grand scheme of how much she's worth?
I think it's more so she's asking for that. It sounds like he's gone, how dare you ask for money, blah, 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 and gone and physically abused her. She's gone hospital. She's decided not to press charges for whatever reason, but it's not a good look. At the time of Kathleen's disappearance, Robert had actually been dating someone else for about 3 years, and they'd been so they were kind of separated. It's kind of like half cheating, if you know what I mean. They were separated and they were living in, because he had so many different apartments. Obviously, his family were in real estate, so that was no problem. She was living in one apartment and he was dating this other woman in a different apartment. So they were separate, but maybe you could classify it as cheating. I don't know, but they were planning on getting a divorce anyways. And something interesting is the fact that he had initially offered up to $100,000 to anybody that could find his missing wife.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, you do that.
But as time went on, he ended up reducing that number down to $15,000.
Huh.
Is that not a bit weird? At first it's showing a lot of intent, like, please find my wife, $100,000, $100,000. And then as time goes on, you're like, yeah, we're gonna move that down to 15 grand now.
Very sus. That's like, does he really care that much? Or does he know? I tell you one thing, actually.
Yeah.
Okay, if he has murdered his wife here and he's got a $100,000 reward out for it, he's thinking, right, she's not going to be found because she's dead.
Yeah.
Right? So why has he actually why has he reduced it from $100,000 to $15,000?
Should he just up it to make it
because
seem more?
because you know that you've murdered her, she ain't going to be found. You know that $100,000 is not going to get cashed in by anyone.
Yeah.
Does it really? That's a bit
I
strange.
know what you mean.
You get what I'm saying?
Like, why even bother reducing?
Unless he was worried that someone may find the body or
Right.
something, then he
That's
still would
true.
lose it. But then he'd most likely also go
That
to
is a
prison.
bit of a weird one, isn't it? Yeah.
Strange one, yeah.
8 years later, he ends up divorcing her, and he claims something called spousal abandonment. Because she wasn't necessarily pronounced dead, he had to just say that he was abandoned by his spouse, and that's how they got the divorce through, because there was no one there to like both sign for it.
And I'm
saying-
assuming he didn't have to give up the $250,000.
Yeah, because she'd abandoned him.
Yeah.
Right? With that being said, in 2016, her family requested for her to be declared legally dead.
Okay.
And a request which was actually granted. The NYPD quietly, like a mouse,
Yeah, I like that.
reopened the case in 1999.
Sneaky.
And then what they did with it being reopened, they ended up searching his residence in a place called South Salem for the first time. And the investigation then went public November 2000. So prior to that, it'd all been pretty low key, and now people are interested. You know, a lot of the time when these cases do end up going public, they get a lot more information. People end up saying like, actually, I noticed this, or I saw this, I saw this person,
100%.
whatever. Yeah. Once that happened though, his sister, Wendy, by the way, again, a bit of a classical name.
Yeah, it's like Wendy's from America.
Fantastic food chain, that must be said.
Maybe
Love
it's
their
hers.
bacon here. Tipped him off saying that the investigation had been reopened. Yo, Robert, the investigation has been reopened. You need to get out of here.
What a crazy Wendy impression, man.
Yeah, maybe. Robert, they've reopened the case. You need to get moving, lad.
I wish I never said anything.
Now, Robert said, right, I'm on the move. I'm heading to Texas. Right, wonderful place Texas is. But weirdly enough, he disguised himself, and this is not a joke, he did do this. He disguised himself as a mute woman to avoid police inquiries.
Very smart.
That's like when you're in a foreign country
I would have done the exact same.
and you just claim not to speak the language.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Me no inglés.
yeah, I mean, I'm glad, sir. Next up, Susan Berman. Okay, this was his best friend. You know, we spoke about her earlier. She was actually the daughter of a reputed gangster, David Berman.
So you don't want to be messing
You
with this
don't.
family.
This is not someone you want to mess with. But anyway, she was found murdered at her home in LA after neighbors called the police to report that the back door was open and her 3 dogs were out loose. So obviously, dogs cutting around back garden.
The dogs baited out the dead body.
Robert was actually in San Francisco days before Susan was killed, and is known to have flown back from San Francisco to New York the night before Susan's body was discovered.
Okay.
Now, he had also recently sent her 2 payments, which add up to $50,000. You know,
Okay.
quite the sum. He admitted that when he was asked by LAPD, and in a biography by Kathy Scott, she claims that Robert killed her because she knew too much about his wife's disappearance. So she had knowledge.
Yeah. Okay. When we first started talking about Susan, I was thinking, could this be gang related? You know, these gangsters, they always go after family members, things like that. It's sort of a known thing. And obviously with her dad being such a prominent figure in the gang world, it's very possible that, you know, rivals could have come in and be like, right, okay, we're killing your daughter because of X, Y, Z.
It's true. It's true.
And the fact that Robert Durst was not in LA. So, days before he was seen in San Francisco, which is quite a few hours drive from LA. Instantly, police are probably thinking, well, it's probably not got anything to do with him. And the fact that he was actually in New York at the time of when the body was found, that really just throws police off. Like, you're probably never going to be looking at him for being the person that did it. But what could have happened is because you can honestly drive from LA to San Francisco in hours.
Yep.
So it could have been a case of he killed Susan, instantly drives up to San Francisco, because if he flies out of LA, it maybe just seems a bit more bait. Whereas if he flies out of San Francisco,
It looks like he was in San Francisco.
it looks like he was in San Francisco.
Maybe in a little bit of business.
Yeah, that's that type of thing.
But it is still close, and he's flying from one coast to another.
Logistically, it is possible that he did this, but because of the tight timelines, it would have to be pretty spot on, and the police wouldn't instantly jump to him as the person who did it, because remember, Susan was his best friend.
Yep.
Right? So, who's killing their best friend?
What's she a loose end, though?
Right.
Just because she's his best friend doesn't mean if she catches wind that he's killed his wife,
Yeah.
that she ain't gonna speak up.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's true. It's true. And he could, that's what I mean. If it's not sort of gang related, which the police never mentioned that it was gang related, it just so happens to be that Susan's family is.
She might be willing to. She wasn't gonna abide by the bro code. She was gonna snitch.
She could have snitched on.
I wouldn't
Durst.
snitch on you.
You wouldn't snitch on me? For real?
For real.
What, if I kill someone, you're just keeping it hush?
You never killed anyone, bro.
I appreciate that, bro. Morris Black, Robert Durst's elderly neighbor, okay? October 9th, 2001, right? Durst was actually arrested. Why was he arrested? Because they found that elderly neighbor, Morris Black's body all chopped up. Yeah, they found it floating in a place called Galveston Bay.
Ooh, upper coast of Texas. Wow.
Yeah.
So that's like another it's another complete different state again. It's like this guy's going all over America.
He's doing his thing, and because remember he relocated to Texas, so this is his elderly neighbor in Texas.
Yes.
When he was supposedly a mute.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's 3 states, 3 different.
Three different cases, right?
Wow.
And he was then released on a $300,000 bail. He goes on to miss his court hearing, so they had a warrant out for his arrest on charge of bail jumping, so just when you don't turn up for your court hearing. And then in November the 30th, he was actually caught, this is not a joke, he was caught shoplifting for, here we go, Band-Aids, a newspaper, a chicken salad sandwich. Can't knock him for that. They can be class. Although he did have at the time $500 cash in his pocket. Why is he shoplifting when he's got $500 in cash? And then not only that, but they searched his car and they found $37,000 in cash, 2 guns, marijuana, and Morris Black's driver's license.
Oh.
And then here's something nuts. They also found directions to Najami's house in Connecticut. Do you remember who Najami is?
It's
that was
the friend.
Kathleen's, his wife's friend from the dinner party.
Yeah. She was hosting the dinner party, right?
I think she might have just been a friend at the dinner party. Either way, she was at this dinner party, right? Did Kathleen talk about something to Najami about...
He's obviously under the impression that he needs to go to Najami's house and do a little bit of silence.
And do a number on her. Yeah. But imagine that. Wow, what a find that car was. They got Morris Black's driving license, which is massive, definitely tying him to that, and probably the reason why they arrested him, right? Just crazy to me.
Yeah, well, I mean, he must be an extreme cheapskate. You seen that show? Because this guy has had $500 in his pocket, $37,000 in the car, and which is $37,500. That's quick maths. And he's gone and nicked a chicken salad sandwich.
What? You know what? That's how the rich stay rich, chick.
Yeah, it's true.
I'm serious,
the rich
bro.
stay rich. This is why I'm slacking. This is why I'm running my...
But imagine, bro, he's done all of this, and he gets caught and arrested for shoplifting. He must be fuming with himself.
Yeah, this is 2001, and if I go back to earlier when I was talking about inflation and the numbers that I know, this is not too expensive, you know? Marijuana, I definitely don't know the price of that, so I actually couldn't give you the numbers.
All right, Chip, we need to move on because he was arrested and it's time to go to trial.
The trial. 2003.
Lovely. Love the finger.
He was, thank you. He was tried for the murder of Morris Black, and of course, he's gonna claim self-defense. Not the first time we've heard of this. His team actually hired a psychiatrist, as Robert was actually pretty bad at communicating. Could be complete cat, but you know.
We got to remember. Remember, he had that counselor when he was 10 years old that said, "Okay,
actually.
look, I'm a little concerned about him." So, you know,
Yeah.
I'm listening.
Anyway,
I'm
they
tuned in.
tried. Sorry. Anyway, they tried to find out why. So he spent over 70 hours with this psychiatrist. They were examining, diagnosing him, all this kind of stuff. Eventually, they diagnosed him with Asperger's syndrome.
Okay.
Boom. And they used that to explain his behavior at trial. Already, you can see they're trying to throw in, like, you know, we're already taking it down the medical route. He's got problems. He's got this and that. Is this and that. He's a murderer, though.
Or is he, Chip? Because, remember, he claimed self-defense. Was it self-defense? This is the story that Robert went with, okay? He claimed that Morris Black grabbed Robert's gun and started threatening him, and during a little struggle, a little tussle, he ended up shooting Morris Black in the face.
Okay.
He claimed he used something called a paring knife, right? 2 saws and an axe to dismember Morris Black's body, but his head was never recovered, so there wasn't enough forensic evidence to show whether it was actually done on self-defense, right? And here's the crazy part, Chip, okay? Because of the lack of forensics, this meant that the jury acquitted Robert Durst of the murder on November the 11th, 2003.
My
We spoke about this,
My
right, when
Lord.
we went through this. Okay, let's just say there was a struggle. And you know what? He did have to shoot Morris Black in the face. Okay, let's say that happened.
Yep.
At what point is dismembering an entire body any form of self-defense?
Yeah, like, if you shot him in the face, the chances are he's definitely dead, or he's at least 100% paralyzed on the floor.
Yeah,
there is
he's
no
not
need
attacking you.
to whip out your little saw and go, right, safe measure here. I'm gonna clean cut this arm
Yeah.
and this leg and the head.
Yeah, it doesn't...
Oh, now he's dead. Now I'm safe. I've just dismembered all his body parts, so I must be safe now. It's cap.
It is...
And I can't believe he's been acquitted. The jury,
He
fraud
got away
watch.
with it.
They should put us on jury watch or whatever it is.
Jury. Do you know what?
Jury duty.
If we had jury duty, I'd be sitting there, I'd be like, you not needed to hire the fellas detectives, because we would have actually... This wouldn't have even gone to trial.
I don't know why I've even brought it up, because I've been skipping jury duty.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Would you not actually quite like to do it?
No, you get paid like nothing.
Wait, it's not about the bag, you know? It's not like no one goes in, I've secured the bag, I'm doing jury duty.
It's about the bag. I do this 52 weeks a year. Okay?
No, man, it's going there, and imagine you got a really sick case. That would be cool.
We've got a sick case right here.
It's true, let's continue.
They get me on Tuesdays, that's it. December 21st, 2004, he has pleaded guilty to 2 counts of bail jumping and 1 count of evidence tampering. He's been sent to prison for 5 years, in which he actually only had to serve 3.
Okay.
Now, in 2005, he was given parole, and he was, requested to stay near his home, ordered to stay near his home, should I say. And that December, he made an unauthorized trip to the place where Morris Black was actually killed.
So he went to revisit the
Yeah,
place.
which is quite strange. That makes you look a little bit guilty, a bit dodgy.
Yeah. Why would you go back?
Has he gone back there because he knows that they haven't found one last bit of evidence?
Yeah.
He's gone back, quick thing, let me get rid of this. Anyway, obviously the parole officer, the police, it's a violation of his parole.
Back to jail, mate.
Sent him back to jail, and that's that. And he was released back from custody on March 1st, 2006, 12 years after I was born.
Right, well, thanks for that tidbit of knowledge. There was a really crucial documentary that played a massive part in this whole thing, right? And it was an HBO documentary. It was called The Jinx, The Life and Deaths of Robert Durst, where Robert actually agreed to take part in this documentary. And
It's a little bit like one of the case we did, Sophie
right
from Cork.
Yeah. With
Ian Bailey.
Ian Bailey getting involved in the documentary, right? Well, Robert Durst actually did this against the advice of his lawyers. His lawyer, because this is a terrible idea, by the way.
Awful.
His lawyers went, Robert really wouldn't recommend this, but for whatever reason, Robert said, no, I'm getting involved in this documentary. And let me tell you guys, just like his lawyer said, it was a terrible idea because as they were filming this documentary and they were interviewing Robert Durst, as you guys will be able to, well, if you're watching this on YouTube or you're listening on Spotify, we have these little microphones attached to us right here.
Yeah.
And let's say and now this has actually happened. Chippo will wear the mic and he'll go to the bathroom. And we can see BTS Alex behind the camera right now has a pair of headphones on. And when Chip goes to the bathroom, you can still hear everything. Right?
Listen,
it's still a microphone.
When you go to the bathroom and you gotta go, you've had a coffee, you gotta squeeze it out. There's gonna be a couple.
Yeah, and put it this way, the audio guys hear things that they sometimes shouldn't. And that was exactly the case here. Robert Durst went to the bathroom and there is an audio clip of him talking to himself. Now we're gonna play a section of that clip now.
What the hell are you doing? Kill them all, of course.
So what is it? He's just gone in there. He's had a little bit of a mental breakdown, manic episode.
No, well, he's just talking to himself, mate.
But I mean, like,
what, you don't talk to yourself sometimes?
Yeah, but like that is like from that
he
clip,
doesn't realise
really,
that he's got the mic on.
Well, for a start, that's piss poor, you know.
He's an old bloke, mate. You don't understand how it goes. Sometimes, I mean, you clearly forgot. I don't know why you're calling it piss poor.
I didn't forget. I just don't mind the people listening to my grunts on the toilet.
You can hear he sort of confesses to it, but it has to be said that in this particular documentary, they actually came out and said, look, we did edit the audio to just make it sound a little bit more dramatic. So he said all those things, but they did chop and change it a little bit for it to be a little bit more dramatic. But he still essentially confesses to those murders.
Yep.
On there. Now, is he saying it sarcastically? That's for you guys to decide.
I'm pretty sure he wasn't.
I don't think so either.
Well, he actually does go on to get arrested by our good friends just around the corner, the FBI, March 14th, 2015.
Could you imagine? He's done this documentary and it's all come down to the fact that he's forgot to take his mic off and he's been nicked.
Well, that looks like what's happened. He's been arrested in New Orleans, home of jazz music. Anyway, everything they found all the materials and all the money, they found it on him. They believed he was actually planning to flee to Cuba after the HBO documentary had aired, because obviously the US and Cuba have no extradition treaty, so if he goes to Cuba, US can't nick him, they can't get him over.
Fair enough. The state police ended up charging him with 2 counts of possession of a firearm, and then on April the 8th, Robert was formally indicted by the Louisiana grand jury for carrying a weapon with a controlled substance, right? And then also as well for the illegal possession of a firearm by a felon. Now, look, it's not looking great for Robert at this point, because his defense attorney confirmed that Robert was in fact in poor health, suffering from something called hydrocephalus, something like that.
Something
Anyways,
to do with spinal fluid, I think.
Yes, so it's an accumulation of cerebrospinal fluid.
I hate it when you accumulate too much cerebrospinal fluid.
It wasn't great for him, that's for sure. And yeah, look, he wasn't in great health. He had quite a bit of stuff done to him. He had to have some cancerous stuff removed from his esophagus. So when it came to speaking, it was all just a bit peak for Robert, okay? There was a lot of faffing around, negotiations, delays. And on February 3rd, 2016, Robert actually pleaded guilty to those gun charges and received around 7 years of time in prison. I mean, look, he's still not being done. We still got those 2 other murders, right? He ain't been done for those.
Yeah,
I mean, this is just for the gun charge.
We got stuff coming. We got stuff on the way, surely.
He was slapped into a maximum security prison, but then he was transferred to LA County Jail, awaiting his big trial.
There was a pre-trial hearing, and the judge ruled that there was not actually enough evidence to try Robert for the murder of his best friend, Susan Berman. So Robert, obviously, he pleaded not guilty. In January 2019, the judge set Robert's trial date for September the 3rd, 2019. And in this trial, he ruled that prosecutors could present evidence involving Morris Black's murder, as they would try and connect that murder to the disappearance of Kathleen.
Okay.
Cool? Because they believed that that was the foundation. Her disappearance was the foundation for the motive of Morris Black's murder.
Okay,
You know,
got you.
'cause,
So,
yeah.
so they didn't. They obviously didn't have enough evidence for Susan Berman. So that I guess they just decided, right, we're just gonna have to go all in on these other two things.
Yeah,
which
to
is
try and get 'em.
using the murder of Morris Black to connect the dots.
Yeah, well, they
and
knew-
try and get
yeah.
this Kathleen thing.
Well, they
as
knew he was guilty, but
Yeah.
they just didn't have certain evidence for certain cases.
Pain.
So they tied the other cases together, and they're like, we're getting this guy.
Well, in March 2nd, 2020, it's getting awful close to us at this point, right? Robert appeared in court to start his trial, which was bound to take several months. I mean, this is a big trial, okay? But unfortunately, as we all know, in 2020, COVID-19 came knocking. And of course, with that, there was a lot of delays. And this case was one of them. It was postponed all the way until May 17th, 2021. This year, guys, we're talking a few months ago, right? Now, there was there was a lot of fighting matches between lawyers. A member of the jury actually was sent home for breaking court instructions. You're not supposed to follow the news.
Yes,
and
because
get
it can
the
sway
public's
your
opinion.
yeah, it can sway your opinion, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and so what they did was there was a real sort of cloud surrounding the whole thing. Whether are these jurors actually neutral?
Yeah.
Or is this going to be a
Are
fair
they,
trial?
are they fair? Yeah, fair. Are they fit for the trial?
Yeah, and after a 14-month, especially because it was all because of these delays, and then with these delays meant that they could go home, they could read stuff about the case.
Yeah.
So there was just real question marks about the jurors. Okay.
Now, Robert was actually hospitalized on June 10th, 2021, but many actually believe that he was faking a medical crisis to try and
They
force...
said cap.
Yeah, he was trying to force a little bit of a mistrial, you know?
Okay.
Yeah, he's saying, oh, look at me, I'm ill. Not ill. Actually, though, the jail doctor determined him to be fit to appear in court, but he did turn up, unable to dress himself. He was wearing like blankets, he was in a wheelchair.
We've got some pictures that
Gel
you guys
uniform.
will be able to see on
yeah,
screen
as you can
well.
see on screen. He doesn't look like he's in the best condition, but like Cal said, could be a bit of cappuccino.
Yeah, I'm thinking some serious max for capping on this because what the sort of like defense and things will do will try and make their client look as weak, as frail as possible to almost make the jurors feel bad.
Yeah.
Or like, look, the guy's gonna die anyways. Take it easy on him. So they've dressed him in this blanket. He's got the mask on, obviously like COVID, but he does not look great, like at all. Robert Durst was then put on the stand for 14 days. 2 weeks this man was on the stand, and he was questioned intensely by the LA County Deputy DA. And there were loads of examples and points of Robert's tendency just to lie, and he cornered him to the point where Robert actually had to admit that he lied in the Morris Black trial, the previous one that he did, and that he actually lied 5 times in that trial. And I'm sorry, but if you get caught doing
Lying
that,
under
it
oath,
just
you're
it
in
writes you
trouble.
off completely.
You are finished.
Yeah, and it was because on September the 17th. 2021, and at the time of filming this, we are talking a matter of weeks ago.
Yeah, it's the 28th today.
Yeah.
So,
He was the jury convicted Robert of first-degree murder in the death of Susan Berman. Right, so they actually got him on the Susan Berman one.
Yep, they got him.
Okay, and he was also found guilty of multiple special circumstance charges, which resulted in a life sentence prison with no parole.
Yeah, he's quite old at this point anyway. If I do the numbers, he's not short of 80.
Damn, you're doing hella numbers in this case, Chip, and I appreciate that. So the final thing on this is that, the latest at the time that we're doing this is on September 24th, literally 4 days ago.
Yeah.
The lawyers filed a motion to request a new trial. I guess they'll be saying that it was an unfair trial,
Yeah.
XYZ. It's not looking great for Robert.
No, not only is he old and having a medical crisis as he claims,
Yeah.
it's looking like he's going down.
So, Chip, in terms of our own thoughts on this, we always like to add our own twist, and we'd love to hear what you guys think. For me, guys, is this a man who was just really unlucky to have all these people so close to him go missing and die? Or do you think it's connected? What's your theory?
I think he's a baddie. I think he's a bad guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's been caught. He's been rumbled. Morris Black's ID in the boot of his car with 35 grand. The guy's, he's all over the shop.
Yeah.
He's making rookie errors. He's gone back to the place where Morris Black was killed.
Right.
Whilst he's meant to be on parole. There's just too much stuff that is dodgy. It looks dodgy. They've got him for Susan Berman as well.
Yeah, I think, and we both discussed this earlier as well, is what happened was, it sounds like he did something to his wife, Kathleen.
Yep.
Something bad, right? They unfortunately have not found the body for that, but he's done something bad there. And then he's ended up finding out that other people maybe know a little bit too much. He's then had to go and kill certain people because they know too much. But by doing that, has someone else then found about him killing Susan? And he's having to constantly chase these loose ends about people knowing too much stuff. And it's just got out of control and he's being found out. And I find it just so kind of just funny and ironic that the fact that he got found out from a microphone on a documentary that he ended up doing despite his lawyers telling him it will be a terrible idea.
Yeah, well, this guy makes mistakes, He got caught.
He does.
He got caught nicking a chicken salad sandwich. First of all, I hate salad, so I can't back it.
You can't back it. Anyways, that is going to be today's Fellas Mysteries. Let us know, what do you think about this case? Do you think that this man was just really unfortunate and the people closest to him were just dying for whatever reason? Let us know.
Yes, and of course, the Fellas Mysteries is available on all audio platforms. So if you want to go ahead and listen on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, you can do that. The link is in the description. Here's a follow on there, right?
Yeah, here's a follow there, please, guys. And if you are listening on Apple Podcast, then do leave us a 5-star rating and a funny review. We'll read some of them out and we'll put them on our Instagram as well.
Yes. Thank you guys for watching, and we will see you next Monday.